back with season 2.
Yes.
Back with the season 2.
Back
if you
at
missed us
it.
season 1, baby, you missed us.
You missed
You can
it.
go on back. We haven't removed those episodes yet. But baby, we back with
Yes,
season
we
2.
are.
Look, hey, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Alisa.
And we are
That's right. Your favorite sister podcast. Yes.
Look, y'all been waiting. Y'all have been waiting, and that's fine. It's completely fine because look, we came through.
Yes, we did.
Look, I do, Lisa. If you give me space, if you give me a little space, I want to thank y'all for
Absolutely.
making us kind of go off. Like we had 14 episodes on there.
14.
And 14, look, we didn't get on social media with Crystal and Alisa until August 2022. January
Break it down.
2023, baby, we 24,000 followers in.
Yes.
And look,
Mad
Lisa,
love.
we're this is pre-recorded. So by the time we actually air this, what you think it's gonna be, Lisa? What you think it's gonna be?
Phenomenal. Those numbers are going to be up there.
Look,
We're probably going to be past 10K.
Think of a number.
I know. And
Look.
I said it, but I'm sure we'll probably be past 10K.
So we appreciate y'all for taking us to over 24,000.
Absolutely.
But also we went viral. And that's how we got over 24,000 because we went viral. We went off last season, and one of our most watched clips, one of our most watched episodes is The Charge of Motherhood.
Yes.
And so that's where we talk about parenting, the way we raise our kids, you know, everything. If you haven't watched it, go back, watch episode
2.
Watch them all.
For sure.
But if you have not watched episode 2 and you've seen just the clip floating around, that's why y'all confused. Because all they looking at this little minute clip and the whole thing an hour and a half. But if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it because it is phenomenal and it is what got you guys engaged. But look, let me just stop real fast because I don't want you guys to think that this is a parenting podcast. Like, mom's on TikTok, mom's on Instagram. Whole time we Chris and Alisa.
Okay.
Whole time we Chris and Alisa, right? So, not a parenting podcast. What did we say last season? We a fake Christian podcast.
Yeah, we're a fake Christian podcast.
Let me say this. We were a fake Christian podcast. What are we now, Lisa?
It seems to be that we have transitioned into a full-blown Christian podcast.
An entire podcast dedicated to our Lord and Savior Jesus
Lord
Christ.
and Savior Jesus.
Look, we appreciate y'all for giving us space to be that, to express our love for God, express our love for people. But look, back to the Charge of Motherhood.
Yes, we definitely have to recap a little bit on that because, again, you guys showed so much love
and
for
hate.
That. And a little bit of hate. I'll give you about 1%, but it was a lot of comments, a lot of response, a lot of engagement directed towards that episode. And we definitely want to have this space just to recap that. Right, sis?
Right. Yes. But look, so it goes into, if you watch that episode, you're going to think we're awesome parents and we did everything right. This whole season going to be about everything we did wrong, right? No, but I do have something to say because that was, my parenting experience with my children. And y'all, that thing had y'all in a chokehold. Look, y'all asking questions like, well, how soon? And I don't even mind this question. Like, how soon did you start it? And I'm telling people I started at the age of 4. Even on TikTok, I gave examples of how you can start. But then I had some people saying I was raising like narcissists and people who, won't be in touch with the reality and you can't just win at everything. And look, what were they hooked on? What were they hooked on, Lisa?
The argument. But I feel like at this moment, it is very important for us to have to recap and re-show them this clip.
Look, if y'all
before you break it down for real.
Let's run it back. We're going to run back that Charge of Motherhood clip.
Yeah, let's do this.
I taught them to think. And if you could present a valid argument and change my mind, this is before I was even an attorney. In my 20s, I wanted to be a good mom so bad.
I understand that.
But in my 20s, I would say, if you can argue for it, you can present a valid argument, I'll change my mind.
Yeah.
And so if I would say no, they would say, can I argue for it? And I say, absolutely. So they would know, they would have their argument ready. And they 100% of the time they win. 100 because they thought it through.
Absolutely.
And so now no one can get over on my children. It's wild. Even my husband's like, those kids are going to think it through. They think everything, are such critical thinkers.
Look, That thing had y'all in a chokehold.
Chokehold.
Mad about how I raised my kids, right? And so, and I did. We put another clip out, a little 30-second reel, not 30-second, but like a minute and a half reel. Where we talked about like you can't just bring kids that have not been raised well and be like, oh, argue your no, because your kids might ask to go fight somebody, right? Like I had raised my kids, or have raised my children, in the fear of the Lord, the love for community, the love for themselves, right? So they were not calling and asking me like, hey mom, can I go fight so and so after school? And if I say no, well, let me explain to you why he took my pencil, or whatever the case may be. They weren't doing that. They were asking, like, at 10 years old, can I get a rated M video game? Big time gamers at my house, still big time gamers. But, can I get a rated M video game? Then you have to, I'm going to say no to that just off the strength it's rated M. Exactly. Or can I see a rated R movie, right? That type of thing. And then they would have to be able to argue why they wanted to do that. They weren't asking, to smoke crack. They were not asking to, kill anybody. They were asking very reasonable things based on what was going on in my household. So, and I said this in the clip, Lisa, if in the clip that we posted, not the one you guys just saw, if you have not set boundaries, then no, you can't have your children argue your no, because they may argue things that are just ludicrous, and you're going to have to say no. But even then, honestly, if I'm keeping it a stack, yeah, they can still argue it, because it's your responsibility as a parent to make sure they understand that. So if they come and they say, can I stab little Johnny for eating my applesauce? Then get on their level and tell them, like, hey, this is why you can't stab little Johnny for eating your applesauce. Whatever. Just be a better parent, right? Be a better person, because that it was a very. Now, let me say this. The response was overwhelmingly positive, Lisa.
Absolutely. It really was.
It was really overwhelmingly positive.
Yes, it was.
But you had those few comments and, oh, it's BS that she always let them win. No, it wasn't. It's not BS, because when they came to me when they asked to argue it, they knew what they were talking. Like, they felt strongly about it. And real fast, I'm gonna tell y'all. And sometimes it blew up in their faces. I'll never forget when my son was 13. He wanted the Call of Duty, maybe it's Black Ops. And I was like, you my kids are very sheltered. I was like, that's not a game for you, boo. I don't think you should have that game. He wanted it for Christmas. I said, you should not have that game. He's 23 now. So he begged me for the game, to explain to me that, he was mature enough, things he had been learning in school about the war. Like, that brother had his argument ready. So what did I do? Bought him the video game. Bought it for him for Christmas. What did he do on Christmas morning? He cried. He literally cried playing the video game. I was taking a nap. I wake up to him playing that video, or putting the video game down, crying because it was too violent. But I allowed him to have that experience, because he did give me a very, very valid argument. And sometimes it blows up in your face and you look and you see mom was right. And I was right without even saying, because I said so, right? But no, but it was, I don't want people to take that clip out of context. That's the whole point. Like, it's not, in a vacuum where, anything her kids said. No, I raised amazing kids, and my kids are adults now.
Yes.
And they're freaking amazing. Like, yes, they really
absolutely.
Are really, 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 really good kids.
Absolutely.
Who stand by everything that I taught them. So now I'm able to see them as adults put into place, the things that I've taught them.
Absolutely.
Add to it, Lisa. Tell these people about my children.
Listen, I've been around long enough to attest to everything that you were saying. Like, these kids are amazing kids. They're lovely. They speak eloquently. They're just genuine. They've never been in any harm, not in any trouble, not locked up. So, those comments just, like, they were laughable. Some of them were. It's just like, come on, get yourself together. But yeah, I've been there, and flowers to you, kudos to you for real, for just doing such a great job, in raising my niece and nephews. You did an amazing job. So I definitely wanted to give you flowers for that.
Look,
for real.
Definitely appreciate you.
And I still want to address just that 1%, the 1% of people that felt like they were just negative. And I feel like the people that made the negative comments, they were more stuck in the context of argument. All they heard was argument. And at that point, it probably the process in their mind that, a kid is arguing with you. You're allowing for a kid to argue with you. No, not literally argument, a debate. Right. And I definitely have similarities with, from how you raised your kids.
Right.
My kids were raised similar to that. But for me, I really made sure that I gave them the opportunity to express themselves. Right.
That's what it's about.
Like, I thought it was very important for them to be able to express themselves, because I know that when I was growing up in my age, growing up with my parents, I was deprived of that. They would not allow for me to question them. It was always because I said so.
Right.
Now I grew up to be a strong woman. I'm a strong woman, but I did not want to continue those trends down to my kids, and I wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to express themselves if they felt or disagreed with anything that I had to say, because I'm human, they're human. They didn't ask to be here. They have their own, ability to think. And honestly, I wanted to know, what are your thoughts?
Very good.
What are you thinking? What are you capable of? I need to know what your cognitive skills and your cognitive abilities are, so that I can be able to train and grasp you to bring you back to understanding. Or maybe I need to be I need some understanding, because I'm human as well. So I definitely allowed space for them to just be able to come and express themselves with anything. I'm very, very, very open to that. So with that even being said, like, we have adults now, like you have adults, like you actually have 3 adults. No, I'm sorry. I always get that caught up. Biological adults, but you're raising a community.
We a village.
A village.
We are a village.
Okay. Yes. We have about 5.
I have 5 adults.
5 adults. Okay.
Which is great. I almost put my head down, but let me.
I don't even know what that experience is like.
All the way straight, because baby, raising 5 adults, like, having raised, right? Like I'm a part of a blended family, and so
yes,
I got 3 daughters when they were 12, 10, and 4, and so now 21, 18, and 13, and so I've been around for quite some time. So no, I am raising 5, or have participated in raising 5 adults. I don't want to, overstep, because if you listen to season 1, you will know that we talked a lot about, me being a step parent and how I kind of messed that up. So I don't want to, their mothers are amazing. They're really, really amazing. I don't want to act like they didn't. But anyway, there are 5 of them. So let me tell y'all something. So if y'all watched The Charge of Motherhood, and I'm sure you did, because here you are, season 2.
Season 2.
If you watch The Charge of Motherhood, and because it was more, Lisa, I be having to stop, dude.
It's so fun. We talking about it.
I just want to talk to y'all for a minute.
We talking about it.
Now, The Charge of Motherhood was the clip that we decided, is the clip that went viral. But like, there was other stuff in that episode. Like, I talked about the safe space.
Yes, that was a great one too. The safe space was a good idea. It was. I think a lot of people took to that as well.
Yeah,
honestly,
I hope so, because then we get no comments on it.
No, that one actually did good, but I mean, we did have one that just went straight off the roof, off the chain.
Yeah,
but
that's
the
true.
safe space, like, there was nothing but positive comments behind that.
I had good stuff in that episode was full of like little nuggets,
little gems, right?
But and look, I was telling Lisa the other day. So we have gone viral, and it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. So whenever we run our own social media. So when you're talking to us, you're talking to us. You're not like talking to another person.
Absolutely.
Every time I open that doggone Instagram. When they're like, this has been added to someone's story, right, Lisa?
Yes, they remixed it. They remixed your reel.
Honey, if I hear, I taught them to think. I taught them. Let me tell you something. I'm so tired of and we got other stuff on our page.
Go back, please. Go look at the other stuff on our page, okay? No shade and no hate to my sister, nothing, because it definitely was a bomb reel an episode.
That's why people think is somebody asked, like, do you have any more parenting tips? No. Like, don't come to me, go to God, because I promise you I was just winging it like you winging it, baby. So no, and I did give parenting tips when asked.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, let me tell you, there's a little bit of drawback to raising independent thinkers. They turn into adults who think independent of you. And so, how so you raise your kids and you want them to think independently and have their own, whatever. And then when they become adults, you just kind of want to be like, oh, we're going to do this. And you want them to say, okay, like you want them to be okay with you making decisions or whatever. Whole time they're not. Whole time they grow up to be adults who are independent thinkers, and not that you can really redirect because now they're adults, right? And so, like, that's what I'm up against. My 23-year-old since the last season, he's moved to New York, which is great. Excellent.
The
it's for
big
his
city
career.
of New York.
Big city, right? He's from Atlanta. You know, everything. Born, raised in Atlanta. Moves to New York. Great.
Love
Good
it.
for you. Good for you,
Absolutely.
MJ. Y'all, it was just Christmas. My son comes home for Christmas. I'm going to tell you this. Christmas Day, Lisa. Christmas Day. We open our gifts. We have our dinner. It's great. It's beautiful. He's like, yo, I'm about to go to my friend's house. What friend? Your friends
Christmas
are here.
Day.
Your friends are these 8 people, right? So I'm like, how are you going to go
On Christmas?
on Christmas? Like, you spend time with your family, but he's 23. What am I going to say to a 23-year-old Lisa? What am I going to say to a 23-year-old who says he wants to go hang out? Nothing. I'm just going to sit there and be upset that he's not at home, right?
Yes.
And then he tells me later on in the visit, because he was with us for about a week, he's like, I think I'm going to spend Christmas with my friends next year.
Oh, dang.
What friends, Lisa?
Oh, no.
Because again, your friends are these 8 people around this doggone Christmas tree. What are you talking about? He was very serious, and I was upset. So I like spent some time trying to explain to him that you spend holidays with your family, right? Holidays are for family. And
Yes.
I even broke it down. I'm like, the reason that there's a Friendsgiving is because Thanksgiving is for your family, right? So you have this other time. And I was like, I told him, I said, I'll fly you home. You can spend New Year's Eve with them, or even like half of Christmas. It doesn't have to be that you're there all Christmas. You know what his brother told me? We'll talk about it next year.
Ooh.
I'll fight you. I'll fight you.
Made you wait.
But that's a grown man.
Yes, he
And
is.
making grown man decisions.
Absolutely.
And y'all might think like, oh my God, Christmas, like family is my thing, y'all. Like
Yeah.
family is my thing. And so for this, I just want to be very clear. He ain't got no wife. He ain't got no fiance. He ain't got no. Why
He
you
ain't
can't
there
come to
yet.
your mama house for Christmas? Why you can't come to your mama? MJ, this is to you, son. Why can't you come to your mother's home for Christmas? No, I'm moving on. But the fact that that's a big thing for me. I'm like, but I couldn't impose my will on him. And I'm very careful not to be manipulative, Lise.
Yeah.
I do not want my kids to feel like, me to draw them in on some
Absolutely.
manipulation stuff. I
Yeah.
want it to be your choice, but I
Yeah.
also want to kind of give you all the facts also so that you can make an informed decision. And
Yes.
I want to be transparent about how I feel without being manipulative. And that is a fine line. You have to be very in tune
Absolutely.
with who you are to be able to do that. And so that's what I try to do with them. And it's funny because you've raised adults and my kids are very independent. The other day, someone asked me a question because, I'm obviously like super mom here. Lee, somebody asked me, what do you do when your children ask your advice and you give them the advice and they don't take that advice? What do you do? So that question had never been posed. And so, I have, so let me just give y'all a little piece. I'm a blended family. My biological children are 23, 20, and 19. And they were raised under, my parenting style. So those are, the people that, the children that this person's talking about. So I said, I sat there for a minute and I just said, my kids don't ask my opinion. They don't ask for my advice. And I had not realized that until that moment that my children literally do not ask my advice. Now they're very spiritually grounded. So they pray like they make their own decisions, but that is the beauty of having raised them to make their own decisions.
Absolutely.
So they will come to me and they'll say, Mom, I'm thinking about doing this. They don't say, Mom, what do you think? It's to come to, like, I really just realized that last week. They don't ask me what I think, Lise. They come in and they say, Mom, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you pray that it's the right decision?
I love it.
They don't, because they know how to make some mistakes in my life. So they're like, she's not the answer. She doesn't have it all figured out. And that's another
And you've
thing.
instilled that in them to know that.
Y'all know I'm be all over the place. I done kiss his mic.
I did too.
But that's another thing. I never pretended that I had all the answers with my kids.
I love that.
I was quick to say, I don't know. Look it up. Direct you to where to ask someone. Direct you into prayer. I never, ever tried to make them feel like I was the end all be all and answers. Yes. So now they're adults. They really don't think I have it all together, right? Like, no matter how successful I am or whatever. they don't come to me like my mom will know. That's not their default, right? And so, but they do come and they'll say, you know, Mom, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you pray? Can you pray with me?
Yeah.
Can you fast with me? Can you whatever? And so I'm grateful that I've given them God and they understand that He, you know, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge Him in everything, and He's going to direct your path, right? And so they know how to get their path directed. Now they will, like, I'm their confidant. So at least they don't come to me and tell me things. But like, because they also know I'm going to pop off. So they don't really tell me things when they happen for the most part. Like if they're dealing with a struggle for the most part, because I'm also I have like, I almost said a savior complex. I don't want to say that, but I try to rescue my kids.
Absolutely. So
they'll come to me and say, like after it, like Kennedy for sure. Kennedy is so independent. So she'll come and she'll say, you know, Mom, I was dealing with this a couple weeks ago and I figured it out, but I want to tell you about it. And so she'll walk me through it, and she's dealing with some little boy or whatever. And she'll walk me through how she dealt with it. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I hate that you like had to do that by yourself or whatever. But she wanted to. She didn't want me in her ear with my opinion of what she should do. She wanted to make her own adult decisions. And that girl is making some good decisions. She is making some good decisions for herself, by herself. And so, and that's just, you know, because the way that I've raised her. And so while, you know, having raised these adults, it's a challenge because they are such independent thinkers. And so, like I said, sometimes you want to say, do it my way. And they're kind of like, but your way may not be the best way. Let me explore this. It's also very beautiful that they can navigate life. And because sometimes they do it a way I wouldn't have done it. But they also know that all things work together for their good. So they roll with it. And so that's what it's like, you know, raising these kids. So I want to say it's a gift and it's a challenge, because I want to say it's a curse. It's not a curse. It's not a curse for children to have their own minds. It just hurts my feelings. Right?
Yeah, your side of adulting, like, your side.
If I'm looking at it objectively, like my feelings are hurt that you would choose something other than what I want you to choose.
Yes. So it sounds like you're somewhat struggling with the disconnect of them adulting at this point, you know, the separation that you have to now deal with.
And then, and I ain't gonna talk goddamn, I'm gonna say this one thing. I said real fast about my son, about my 23. I don't talk trash about MJ. I don't talk. She don't let me talk trash about my son.
No, I didn't. He know we love him and you love him too.
Let me tell y'all about my son. I have to tell y'all about the beauty that is my son. All my children are just, if y'all go to my Instagram, right.c, y'all gonna see my beautiful kids, because I'm gonna put my beautiful kids
They
on
are
Instagram.
beautiful. Yes, they are.
But let me tell you about my son, MJ, 23. He comes to me. He's been in New York. And this was before he told me he wasn't coming home for Christmas. He'd been in New York, Lisa, and he says to me, we're talking about Crystal and Alisa in the podcast, and I'm telling him, you know, the clip has gone viral again. And he was like, yeah, Mom, you know, I'm going to do that with my kids. And, you know, just talking to me about him becoming a man and all of this. He's got a little girlfriend or whatever. And he says, but I've been meaning to talk to you. What were you thinking when you taught us those things? Because you guys only got like a little snippet of the way they were raised. So he said, when you went to teach us things, what were you thinking? Like, how did you get there? Because he has called me before and said, Mom, like, thank you for how you raised us. Like, he's literally called me since he's been in New York and said, some people make decisions, my friends make decisions, and I say, your mom didn't teach you that? Like, the decisions are so far off, and they're like, no. And he had the benefit of a mom who was invested in teaching him how to be an adult. And so he asked me, like, what were you thinking when you went about teaching us? And I said, all I wanted was for y'all to be good citizens. Like, I wanted them to be solid adults. And I knew that if they didn't get it as babies, you don't magically turn 21, 25, 26 and just get it. You have to be taught that thing. And I love them. And so every decision was based on love. Even when I had to fuss, even when I had to punish them, because they got punished, right? But it was based on, I love you and I care about how you turn out. So this is what I'm thinking. So as I began to implement things, it was all based on literally my love for my kids, you know? And so and in that moment, I just kind of started pouring into him, because I'm like, I don't know if he's going to ask me again. so I did. And I said, you know, you always have your kids back. And that's, let me tell you something. Against teachers, against coaches, against, you know, sponsors, against parents. Like, it was me and my kids against the world. Now, I might get home and you might have been wrong, and I'm not going, because embarrassment, y'all play games with embarrassment. You think embarrassing your kids is a way to discipline them? Whole time, that is lifetime scarring. So I did not play about embarrassment with my children. So I'm gonna have your back. And I've told stories, and you listened to season 1 about, me having some struggles with Chris and some of his teachers. So when I'm standing here, I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna stand with my son. Now, if he's wrong, when I get home, I'm gonna say, look, I'm never going to make anyone feel like they can create a disconnect between me and my child, because he has to always feel like he can count on me.
Absolutely.
He has to feel like he can count on me to have his back. But when we got home, if he was wrong, I'm like, now why did you do that? Tell me, walk me through it, because that's my thing. Walk me through it. Walk me through your decision-making process, because I've taught you to think, right? So tell me what you were thinking, and that thing's so beautiful, because even Chris, even now with Chris, if I disagree with the decision he made, I'll tell him that, and he'll say, well, let me tell you how I got there. And Chris will come in there and he will tell me how I got there. And I still don't always agree with how he got there, because I may say, like, well, if you had done this, you would have gone a different place, but he didn't do that. And what he did made sense to him. And I don't even want to say my way was better, but it's different. And I try to, push him that way. But I wouldn't when he was younger and he would be, getting scolded at school or whatever. I'm like, tell me, now you were wrong. Now I had your back. But tell me how you got there. And this is like 7, 8. This is not like, 15. And he would have to tell me how he got to that place of misbehaving. But he was comfortable to do that. One, because of the foundation I laid, and I had his back. And that's what I'm going on a tangent, but like, that's what I told MJ, like, you stand for your kids. You don't let these people tell you your kids are a problem, your kids are, or whatever. Or if you don't stop, you got to have they have to know that you have their back. Yes. They have to know that you can be counted on. And so those are the things that went through my head when I was making decisions. But I wanted to be a good mom.
Absolutely.
I had the desire to be a good mother. Absolutely. And I think it starts there. But I'm gonna be quiet. I love you, Lisa.
No, I think that you brought up some good points, as you raise your kids, as they've transitioned into adulthood. It's important to know what you did, in order for them to be who they are, in order for them to be successful in this world today, right? So those are good gems. The world had to know. I feel like I would need to break down a little bit of the background of me parenting prior to, like, my oldest, Amaya. She's adulting right now. But before I even get into Amaya, and then I'll drop into my son, which is 18. He's not adulting yet. He's still in school, about to graduate. I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying when you were just touching on, like, backing your kids up, like, all the way, like that. I'm definitely backing my kids up. I don't care who it is, what age level, whatever the case may be, I'm backing my kids up. But I do feel like in circumstances or situations where they really have done wrong, whether it's in school and I'm at a parent teacher conference and they're letting me know something, I can't say that I'm backing him up all the way, right? I would respectfully tell the teacher that I'll address those issues. I'll handle it. I'll handle those issues. But we talking about you. Let's address your issues and the issues that I'm having with you and my son, or whatever the case may be, or how the issues and the problems derive are what you're doing wrong. We're not going to sit here and we're going to beat my child up the whole time, So I do feel like I would address the situation in that moment. But I would not beat them up in that moment. I would let them know that it's understood. We'll talk about it when we get home. But never would I run into school after I got a call, because there's some parents that run up into the schools and they'll jack their kids up in front of the friends.
It's crazy.
Okay, jack them up in front of the friends. Definitely not that parent, right? Definitely want to show my kids a level of respect that I would want them to show me or anybody, that they face or have any type of conflict resolution with or anything. Just want to show that type of respect.
Right.
But just wanted to piggyback off of that. But moving into me and adulting, right, with the two that I have. Well, Maya, she's 20. She is currently attending HBCU at Alabama State University. She is a sophomore. Hello, my And I can honestly say that I think so far I've done a good job.
You have done an excellent job.
I've done a good job.
I can say that you've done an excellent job.
In putting her in the position that she is right now, being a sophomore in college. I want to bring it back though, because I knew that Maya was a confident Black little girl, okay, at an early age, like just like her mama, honestly.
Right.
Like I knew I would not have no problems with her once she got into the adult world. Just based off of one situation when she was a child. I would say literally like 3 or 4 years old. She was a child. I had to let her go. It was time for me to start going back to work. So I had to drop her off to, it was Kids Are Kids in Decatur.
Where's
greater, but it was a kids are kids. It wasn't really a daycare. It was more set up to be like an academic. So they had a curriculum. It was like a pre-K situation, and so I'm taking her to the daycare or to the pre-K, and I am more nervous, I believe, than she is. All right, like I'm talking to myself, trying to get myself prepared to drop her off. Like, okay, Alisa, like you're about to drop her off, and if she cries, you are going to be okay. You're going to let her cry because you got to go, and you're just going to leave. You know, I talked through it the whole ride, and when I got there, the curriculum was going. Kids were kind of a little active. You know, she walked in and she kind of blended in very well, and I stayed for a little bit just to kind of see what her angle was, what was going to happen, if she was going to cry or anything. So I attempted to tell her bye a couple of times, and she was still regular. She was looking at me. She waved. She said bye. And I'm like, okay, this is going great. So let me try to find a way to kind of ease my way out the door.
So you thought.
I eased my way out the door, you know, and she's still like doing her own thing. Not one time did she cry or do anything. So I'm like, this is great. Like she's able to adapt, you know, at this young age. Right. So she's going to be okay. She's not looking for me. She's not doing anything. So I can go about my business. So I, you know, closed the door, proceeded as if I was leaving, but I didn't really leave all the way out. I stayed for about 5 minutes just to kind of see how she would interact without really knowing that I'm there, right, you know, with the other kids. So there was this pretty little white girl that was coming up to her. So I was getting all excited. I'm like, oh my God, my daughter's about to go play with a little girl or whatever. I was just excited to see that moment. And so the little girl walks up to her and she literally snatched the crayon out of her hand.
Wait, who snatched the crayon out of whose hand?
The little white girl snatched the crayon out of my daughter's hand.
Oh, okay.
And so immediately, honestly, I wanted to just jump in, you know, mother instinct, just jump in, you know, like get the little girl and tell the little girl to get her parents, whatever. Right. But before I could even do that,
y'all know Lisa fight. Y'all know Lisa fight. Please go back to season 1. Lisa fight. Lisa will fight.
Don't try me, my kids. Don't do that, please. Okay, there's triggers. So before I can even intervene, you know, because even if I intervene, honestly, it wasn't going to be, I was not going to hurt the little girl. Right, let's understand that. But I was going to correct the little girl. Right. All right. If the teachers wasn't looking, I was going to be the teacher.
Right.
You have to share. I was going to take it and give it back to my daughter and say, no. You have to share.
Alisa is my favorite person.
Okay. But I was literally going to do that. So, but Maya handled the business. She, you know, took her crayon back and she proceeded. Was no harm. Like she looked at her like, don't try me. But then she went back to doing what she had to do. And once I seen her do that, honestly, I was like, oh, she's good.
She good.
She is a G like her mama.
Capital G.
Capital G.
G
like
for
her
gangsta,
mama.
if you thought, not geek.
Listen,
Gangsta.
because you know, when you raise your kids, you always want to raise them better than you.
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
Yes,
so she was. I knew she was going to be a better G than her mama.
More of a G.
More of a G.
Greater G. Capital G.
And that was just at a young age. So, you know, I was confident in who she was going to be as an adult, somewhat, you know, at that age. Like, yes, we're moving on to a great start.
Right.
I don't have to do that much parenting, I don't think. You know, like she gets it at 3, at 4.
Y'all, please.
But anyway,
Lisa,
we're going to fast forward.
You didn't have to do that much parenting at 4.
Well, I said she got it.
I'm done parenting.
I'm
4
done.
years old,
Well, that's what she can handle herself. That's it. It's over. I'm good.
Y'all, please, we don't want no hate mail about Lisa abandoning her parenting duties at 4 years old.
My children and my oldest 2 are very honestly, you know, they're doing good. They're successful as well. You know, like I have no issues with them.
They parenting themselves.
Literally a joke. Don't give me no hate comments.
This girl, this parenting podcast.
Okay. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so fast forwarding on, I'll say like the way that I'm going to say trained, because it's past tense now and I'm just looking back at at scenarios and situations. But the way that I try to prepare my daughter to be an adult, but I would say like at the age of 13, she started asking to go places, to do things, to go to the movies, to go to a friend's house. And, I was the type of parent that really didn't care for her to go out to her friend's house and really out places. But one in particular thing that I wanted to instill, because I'm very actually impatient. I'm an impatient mother, but I want my kids to understand that too. So I want my kids to be able to understand how they should approach me in certain scenarios and situations. So when it comes time for Maya to want to, go to the movies, go see her friends, she has to ask, of course, which she does. But if she asked me to go anywhere, the answer probably 9 times out of 10 would have been no. Because for me, you have to dot your I's and you have to cross your T's. Right? You have to be prepared for any question it is that I'm going to ask you if you want to do something. Right. All right. So you can't tell me that you want to go to your friend's house and play for 4 hours and you don't know nothing about your friend's household, your friend's parents. Right. Like you might go to your friend's house and you don't like dogs, but a whole pit bull is there.
The whole time they got
a whole pit bull. You calling me? No. I try to honestly set her lifestyle up or her mentality up to just be prepared and be observant of her surroundings are what it is that she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Somewhat of critical thinking. Right. When you come and you ask me a question and you want to go somewhere, I needed to know the who, what, whens, and whys. Right. And if you were not able to present that to me, then 9 times out of 10, the answer was going to be no. Now, even if you presented those answers to me, I didn't have to ask them, but you presented everything that I needed to know. Hey, Mom, I want to go to Jordan's house. She's only five minutes away. I go to school with her. I've been knowing her for 70 years. She, her parents live together. She has about 4 siblings. Run it down, right? Once you run it all down, give me all the details. Social. All right, listen, how many brothers does she have? Whatever.
That's real.
For real. Like once you run it all down to me, then that will give me the opportunity to analyze the situation. That doesn't mean that the answer was always going to be yes. Right. Okay. Right. But you just gave me the opportunity and yourself the opportunity for me to think about it. Right.
Right. No, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So I really try to make sure that, again, she dotted her I's and she crossed her T's, and that she was very observant at a young age in what she wanted to do and the scenarios, the consequences. All the research will be put behind it whenever you come and ask me a question. I don't care what it was. Right. Very good. So, I tried to instill that in her. And so in young in age, I also knew that she wanted to go to college, right? So I just mentioned that HBCU, she's at Alabama State. So she told me, whoop, whoop, that she wanted to go to college, which is great. But I knew around this time she's about 16 or coming close to. 16 is not too far from 18. That's only 2 years. All right. So I had to position myself, my mom, my way of thinking to try to help her to be able to adapt in society. Okay. Because we already know what goes on at these HBCUs, right? We already know what goes at college in general, right? Just not even just college in general. You're 18, you're out on your own. A lot of kids choose not to stay at home, their home state. They want to travel out. Right. You're in the middle of nowhere. You don't know where you're at. You're around people you don't even know at this point. There's a lot of peer pressure that comes involved. Right. There is there's a lot. Right. To be able to deal with that young an age. So at 16, I knew that I wanted to get her a car because one, if she was to not become an adult, but once she went to high school, college, then she would probably want to jump in other people's cars. Right. And I really despised of that. Right. So I wanted to get her very familiarized with being able to drive before she, transitioned out of the household at 18 to go to college. And so, not even just that, the fact that the rule in my house was that if you had good grades, right? If you had A's and B's, then you would be rewarded.
Right.
You will also be able to get a car.
Right.
So on top of that, you know, we were able to provide her with a car at 16. So again, even once you got a car, it wasn't, I can get my keys and I can go. No, there were still rules.
Still who,
there
what,
was still
when,
all that, still who, what, when, where, why, whatever. All
Right.
that was still there. All that was still in place. But I did allow for her to kind of spread out and venture out just a little bit. Now, I'm not going to take full responsibility of my daughter. I am her mother. That is my only child. But she definitely have a father, and we did very well in co-parenting. So he instilled a lot of things in her, godly, and you know, he kept up with her. But there were times where he would call me and kind of question why I allowed for her to go to this party, you know? And so all I had to do really with him, you know, was just let him know, just chill.
Right.
Just chill. Listen, I hear you. I got it. You know, please don't ever think that I'll put my daughter in harm's way, right? Like, I would never do that. I want the best for my daughter. But again, I needed her to venture out. I wanted her to venture out. I wanted her to experience a lot of different things at 16 and 17 so that I can see her when she comes home and I can read her, right? Or she can come and tell me she's gotten into something and then we can address those problems. I wanted to face those problems head on.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to wait until she got 18, 19
and was
out of the house and she's scared to even call because she's never done it in the household or we've never talked about it. I wanted her to more so be equipped with her way of thinking, you know, with her mentality and understand that, oh, I've been there, done that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of girls that go into college that, you know, they might be preachers' daughters, or they've just been restrained as they've got, you know, when they were a child. And once they've got into college, it's like,
they're wilding.
Ooh,
yep.
I ain't seen that.
Right.
Oh, they all over the place. They all, the names all up in the football team, just everything's just going on. They just too happy and wild with it. Right. So I really, again, I just try to push her out there a little bit. So now, as we're moving into the adulting phase of her life, when it's so funny because she calls me up now and she's like, yeah, Mom, they're having a party tonight. They've already had 3 parties, first of all. And I'm tired. I don't feel like going to any party. I'm not going. I'm like, Mom, you're not going to the HBC? Mom, no.
I've been partying. I ain't new to this.
Listen, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's literally how it was for her 16, 17, you know, 18, whatever. Like nothing is phasing her right now. So she's really just focused on priority, right? Like really getting her work done. You know, she's part of the dean's list still while she's still cheerleading. So she's really focused. She'll go to parties when she needs to, you know, she'll have her fun when she needs to, but she's not all about the hype. She's not all about the hype. And I love that.
No, I love that.
I love that.
Amaya is fantastic.
But she
really is. She's a gem. She's a gem. So is Elijah.
Yes. And I haven't even started with him yet. I have not even started with him yet. So, but adulting for me and her, I think has been very good. It's been very good. But I can say, like, what are her challenges, right? Like, she's an adult. She was the only girl. She was the only child not the only child, I'm sorry, the only girl growing up.
Right.
The firstborn. And so I do have to talk her through. Like you say, like MJ, Chris, Kennedy, they might not come to you. They can handle things on their own. And they might come to you after it's done, like, oh my gosh, Mom, this is what I've dealt with.
Right.
Maya, she definitely knows how to maneuver, right? She knows how to think. She has the critical thinking ability or whatnot, but she does come to me a lot because she is the only child. And so her first year.
She's the only girl.
Why do I keep saying that? She's the only girl. That's what I mean.
Mama's sorry. She's so sorry.
Thank you for correcting me, for real. Like, I needed that. She's my only girl. Okay. She's my only girl. Yes. And so everything she had on her own, you know, she had her own bathroom. She just had her own piece, her own space. And so when she transitioned into college, her freshman year, she was in a dorm. And so she had to share this dorm with 6 other girls. And they had to share a bathroom and everything. So I would get a lot of calls on things like that. Like, Mom, these girls are dirty. Oops, I didn't mean to put it out there like that.
Look, if you were Amaya's roommate, we're sorry. We're not talking to you. We're talking about the other roommate.
Yeah, and it wasn't that harsh, okay? It wasn't. Yeah. But she struggled, because they had to work together. Yeah. They had to share. And if the bathroom was dirty, if one of the rooms were dirty, she was held accountable for that as well. So it was like a conflict resolution that she had to try to deal with because it wasn't just her. Right. She couldn't just stagnate herself and separate herself from the situation. She couldn't go to the coordinator and say, well, that it was her day and she didn't do it. No, they want y'all to communicate and all work together as a team, team bonding, whatever it is to get it done. And she often struggled with that because she felt like she was the only one cleaning up, whether it was the room, the bathroom. When it was her time, it was time.
Right.
But it was a little messy though too, because I had to even get involved. She called me, and I had to even get involved because they start finding the girls in the room too.
They start touching your money.
They start touching my money.
Lisa is on the phone.
Yes, that we're going to handle that.
Right. Yeah, I know that's right.
Because that's unnecessary.
Right.
Like set your rules, put your schedules on. And if it's somebody's week, then y'all need to divert back to that person.
Right.
Okay. There's only so much that a teenager or somebody could do.
Right.
So, we wrote a couple letters
and y'all all grown.
And y'all are all grown. So let the grown person take accountability and handle those fines. Don't stick those fines on the other kids that are actually being obedient and doing what they're supposed to do. Right. So, we got that handled. But I think majority of her time being in college has been around conflict resolution.
Very good.
Yes. And I've told her, this is great for you. This is great for you because you're in the real world, but it still gets harder. It still gets deeper. Reality starts to kick in even more.
Right.
Okay. Once you start transitioning into your career, conflict resolution is going to be what you need to be able to deal with when you get into the real world and you become corporate or you have your own business, because there's going to be a lot of people out there trying to try you.
A lot
of people out there trying to try you. All right. So the fact that she's dealing with it now, I'm telling her it's great.
Right.
Handle it.
It doesn't feel good.
It don't feel good.
You'll build on these experiences.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is what I think that she's doing now.
Right.
So the calls that I'm getting from her as she's in her adulting phase is more of that, more of conflict resolution.
Right.
Okay, baby, maybe you need to handle it this way because she's not used to it. She's the only child. I'm the only girl. She's the only girl.
Elijah.
Okay. My only girl. Okay. But other than that, things are really good. Of course, we have more time, things we'll get to other things.
Right.
Like we'll get to the difficult things.
This is episode 1.
Yeah, we're just starting, okay. I mean, that's just a great highlight, scratching the surface of adulting with my child, right?
Baby.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
But moving on to Elijah, right? So that is my second oldest, my first boy, the love of my life. They're all the love of my life, but he's my first boy, And he was definitely different from Amaya, of course, not gender wise, of course, girl, boy, we know that. But Maya, she wanted to go to college, and Elijah, he did not want to go to college. And that's all right. Right? It's okay. And that's exactly what I told him. It's okay for you not to want to go to college.
That's right.
College is not for everybody.
It's not.
And don't go to college if it's not for you. Okay.
Trying to please your mama.
Trying to please your parents, right? Because either that's going to be your bill that you're going to have to pay or their bill that they're going to have to pay.
And it
ain't friendly.
Because it ain't cheap.
It ain't friendly to your pockets.
Look.
Okay? It'll hold you back. If you're not going to school for something that you genuinely want to go for and love, and you know that you're going to be able to make up that financial assistance, and don't go.
Right. And don't waste my money. If you don't have financial assistance, I can pay for it. Don't waste my money.
Now, if you got a scholarship, be my guest.
Right.
Go ahead. You got a scholarship?
Try it out.
Try it out. Be my guest.
Right.
But other than that, college is not for everybody.
Right, it's not.
And I respected that. He told me right on, like, you gotta, once you know that the kids are getting at that age where it's like, okay, baby, what do you want to do with your life now, right?
Yeah,
your sister's doing college. He didn't even let me get close to finishing and ask him, Mom, I'm not going to college.
I love that he had the space to tell you that he didn't go and do a semester, and because I know people who've gone and then dropped out and couldn't tell their parents, but that he had the space to say that ain't for me.
I love that.
Right?
Exactly.
Yes. Hello, kudos to you, mom. Kudos to you.
Honestly, because there are a lot of kids out there that just because their parents want them to go, they just hold back and they just go. Right. And that's not even anything that they want to do. Right. But
there is success outside of college, outside of academia. Like there is success, and I want us to really rock with that and know that there's success.
Absolutely. Moving on to what I'm about to say with Elijah. Like, okay, if you're not gonna go to college, that's fine. But definitely you're gonna have to do something, right? You're gonna have to have a plan.
Look,
there has to be a plan. Right. If there's no plan, there's a big problem. Okay. Right. Well, the only problem, if you don't have a plan, I would recommend, and I've told him this, go to the military. Go. If you do not have a plan, you don't know what you want.
Black boys in the military.
Some people are. Some people are.
You know, me and Alisa agree to disagree.
And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But from my experience, I've come from that. My dad was in the military, so I was a military brat. I personally didn't want to go to the military because I experienced a lot of trauma, you know, traveling, meeting new people, having to say goodbye. Social media wasn't around. So I dealt with some issues with that. But what I do know about the military, and I don't want my baby going to the Army. I don't want him to go to the Marines. I wouldn't recommend those. But if he was to go to the military, I would recommend him just go to the Air Force.
We're sorry, Army and everybody else. We love you still.
Okay. So y'all are fighting for this country. We don't no harm. We love what you do.
Yes.
We commend your work.
Right.
Yes.
Y'all know
soldiers.
We are the queens of trying to be politically
soldiers.
correct.
Okay. Please don't take that out of context or anything.
We support you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We're not being facetious. We're not serious.
But we talking about my child right now.
Yeah.
So I would prefer, if he was to go, you know, I would direct him. I want him to go into the Air Force, period. Boom. But again, back to having a plan. Like he has to have a plan. And
that's fair.
So a trade is what we're looking into different trades. Okay. We have a couple of trades that he's interested in. So we're looking at schools and things, but a trade is definitely his line. And I don't even feel like one trade is good. If you're going to do a trade, listen. 2, 3 up underneath your belt. Trades. Yes, be a jack of all trades, okay? Because a lot of successful people are not just doing one thing, right?
Yeah, that's real.
They have their hands in multiple pockets, multiple bowls, whatever you want to call it, eggs in one basket, whatever you want to say. You have to have a couple of things going on. And if it's going to be a trade, my recommendation for him as he transitions into his adulthood is to pick up a couple of trades.
Try some things out. I think
try some things out. Absolutely. So we got a plan with that, but I ain't even did this with my child yet. And people are probably doing this right now, but this is what the conversation that I've had with my children, because I do believe in the way that the foreigners raise their kids. Like I do believe that I'm not ready to push my children out the house when they turn 18. Like that's not what I'm dropping on them. That's not real. You know, and there's a lot of parents that say when you're 18, boom, you out. You out. Find something to do when you're 18. No, I'm like, baby, you can stay here as long as you're doing something.
Right.
You can stay here as long as you want. Okay. Until you find out you want to get married or, you know, whatever the case may be, as long as you're doing something, you have a plan, because it takes a village, right? It takes a village, right? I don't want to just throw him out there. So the plan that I don't want him
to leave and have to come back.
Right. You want to set him up for success.
And real fast, I heard this lady say the other day, this is so beautiful, and I never thought of it before. She's talking about throwing kids out. Same thing.
Yeah.
Black woman talking about throwing her, you know, I'm not throwing my child at 18. She was like, kids are not adults until they're 26. That's why they can stay on your insurance till you're 26.
Absolutely. I love it.
I said that.
That's facts.
That's real.
That's real.
They can stay on your insurance until you're 26. That's when they. I mean, I have my own things about that or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, no, you don't throw an 18-year-old out and pay some bills. I don't know. Maybe y'all different.
No, I mean, listen. And again, we are not the parenting podcast.
Look,
we're not
dropping.
We are that. Right. But this is just simply our way of thinking, way that we think. Everybody does things differently. There are parents that threw their kids out there at 18 and they are successful, and they're like, thank you, mommy. I wouldn't have been able to do it if you you didn't do that. That's possible. That ain't us. That ain't me. That not at all. So I basically told him that you can stay here as long as you want, but he's not the type of child to just sit there and stay as long, you know, so I know that too. So I said, just think of it as if you are in college.
Right.
Use those 4 to 6 years to come
good,
up.
Lisa.
Use those 4 to 6 years to come up. You can work in your trade because you will get paid. You don't have to pay nothing. Save that
that's
money.
Parenting. We're a parenting podcast.
Now,
fake
that's what,
parenting
is
podcast.
that what it's that?
We're a fake parenting
fake,
podcast.
fake.
Fake parenting podcast.
Listen to that, fake. Okay, for real. But it's real though.
No,
but this is what's going on over here. This is what's going on in our world.
Right.
Okay,
And we've experienced success with it.
and we have experienced exactly. So I'm just simply like, don't stress. Pick up your trade. 4 to 6 years, you can stay. Save your money.
That's right.
By the time your friends get out of college that decide to go, you're going to have more money than they have.
Right.
You'll be straight.
You'll be in your career.
You'll be in your career, and you will have money to invest in yourself, to do your business, to buy your house, to do whatever it is, to give. Most importantly, because that was a conversation. That was definitely a conversation while he's making this money and bringing this money in. Absolutely, to give. But he would have that opportunity to give, to grow, to be successful, to be successful.
Yeah.
So I'm just, that's the plan that we have.
Right.
That's the plan that we have together.
Right.
Since he doesn't want to go to college. And I think that's going to be great for him.
It is. And he's good. He's very conscientious, and he is a go-getter anyway. So and like you said, college don't define you. College don't make you, and you have to find your own lane.
Absolutely.
And that you are giving him space to find his lane, and he feels okay with it, right? Like he doesn't have to reluctantly come. He can say, "Mom, before you," and that's a kudos to your parenting, because he did. Because Elijah is so cute and so respectful. And the most respectful way, I'm sure he came like, yo, don't waste your breath on college.
Yeah.
I ain't picked up now brochure. I do not care about no college.
Yes.
But that he could take the counsel from you and say, if you're not going to do college, baby boy, this is where we're going.
Absolutely.
Right? And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, that's parenting adults.
Oh my God.
And it's been... It's an interesting journey.
Yes.
Because like even like I said, it's them thinking on their own. And you gave him that. That's it. You didn't argue your no, but you still, like you said, you gave them a way to express themselves. And so many people, like you went to college. Yeah. You're not anti-college, right? Like that's not a thing. But I'm pro you.
Yes.
Right. Like I am pro what you want to do.
Absolutely.
I am pro what will make you happy.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you could go to college and then flunk out. Like I said, have all these bills or have wasted my money because I invested it in you.
Exactly.
But I gave you space from a little boy to know that my mom is going to respect who I am. And Lisa, you said respect. And that's literally what it's about. Yes. It's about respect. People don't have respect for their children. And because they're like, oh, you're just a child.
Yes.
Whole time they're a whole human.
Yes,
like I said,
absolutely.
A human who didn't ask to be here. And so now that they're taking up space, allow them to take up that space the way and trust the way that you raised them.
Absolutely.
And I go back to you with Amaya, because I didn't do that. And we have, just different dynamics. Yeah. But you didn't just throw Maya out there at 16 and say, go party, girl, go.
Absolutely.
Because you knew how you raised her.
Yes.
Right. So you knew some stuff she just wasn't going to do out of respect for who you are. Right. So she respected you and she respected herself and she respected the God that she serves.
Absolutely.
And so it was like you could open a door for her and she was going to walk through that door. But there were certain things, not that she did. Look, our children, I just want to be very clear, have gotten into some trouble. Like they ain't never been in trouble with the law. Yeah. They've never, you know what I'm saying? We don't have addicts for children, and our prayers go out to those of you who have children that you're dealing with them. But they've done things that we don't necessarily approve
kids are kids.
Of. Kids, they're still human.
Kids are kids.
We've done things,
it,
right?
Yes.
But you raised her in such a way and gave her the space to be who she is, and she's an excellent woman. And Elijah is, and I just the space. Because so many people don't have the space to be who they are.
Yes.
And to not agree. Right. And I want to, it's so funny. My kids don't have like unfettered loyalty to me. It's so weird. Except Chris. Chris is a mama's boy to his heart. I don't care what I do.
I love it.
But there have been situations, and this is the space I've given them where they don't agree with, I might not like someone, for instance. And they can see, I understand why you don't like this person, or why I have not had that experience. And so it's like, they're not just going to, chase my mom. I love you and I support your decision, but I'm not going to do it just because you did. And so, and I had the conversation about Kennedy in a situation with someone, and they were like, well, you know, why does she not have your back? That I don't know that her disliking someone because I dislike them or her, you know what I'm saying?
Equates to that, right?
No, right. Like because she's like, that's your life.
Yes.
And that's the life that you live. And it's beautiful that she has the space to be who she is.
Absolutely.
And I respect that. And if you guys take nothing from this episode, if you take nothing from what we've said, give your children space. Give them, first of all, you know, be positive role models, whatever positivity looks like to you, because we promise you won't have all the answers. Promise you we have done some things that we're not proud of, even in parenting.
Yes.
Right? But what we have done is we've given our children space to be individuals, and where they've needed redirection, we provided that redirection.
Absolutely.
Without like overly, you know, trying to badger them and make them feel like they're not enough, or it's my way or the hot, because like you said, we've made mistakes. And so if you take nothing from today, you pair it with what we did, you know, the charge of motherhood and those parenting tips, and then you look, and how did that work out for you? Our children are excellent.
They are.
Our children are excellent because we gave them the space to explore what excellent looks like to them. No, they may not be astronauts or lawyers or doctors or whatever, but that's not excellency. Like whole time, all of my children are in creative careers. All of them have pursued their passion because I gave them space to pursue that passion. And let me say something. Speaking of pursuing passion, and we're going to wrap up in a second, but speaking of pursuing passion, my children don't have no plan B. It's either I'm going to make it or I'm going to make it.
The faith.
And so
the faith.
It's either I'm going to make it or I'm going to make it. My son has a great, and I don't want to explore because I haven't gotten his permission, but he has a passion to do something very, like it's like a 1% of people, you know, succeed in this area. And he trains and he does, you know, everything he's supposed to do. And he trains with like professional people. Like he doesn't train with people on his level. He trains with like people who've already been successful. And every time he goes to train him, and he came home this morning and he's like, somebody else gave me advice. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I need to do it this way. I need to do it that way. And I look, because it kind of breaks my heart because it hasn't happened for him yet. And so it's a lot for me. But what's so beautiful is he's like, I'm good where I am because I'm going to see this thing through.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to hold fast to my confession, right? Like, so that's what the word of God says.
Yes.
I'm going to stand on this thing. God told me I'm going to do this. It has not come to fruition yet. And I'm going to stand on this thing. So people come and they think they're giving great advice. And be careful what you say to people who do not ask for your advice. My son ain't never asked any of these professional people their advice, but they come to me, they're like, oh, you're young. I want to give you that advice. And he comes home and he's like, they have all these things. He's like, man, sometimes I hate going to practice. Sometimes I hate because everybody tells me what to do. But he's strong enough to listen to these people who've made it and are millionaires and are doing whatever to say that's not my path. And so and then they're like, well, and then I have people who are in academia and they're like, well, what's your plan B? You've got to have a plan B. Not when your plan A gonna work.
Yep.
I ain't got no plan B when my plan A gonna work.
Yeah.
But I have people who support me. I have a mom who says you can stay here till you make it, baby. You can do this. I support you until you make it, baby.
Yes.
But that's what and your kid should never feel like at some point you're gonna fall off of that support.
Absolutely.
At some point you're going to decide that you've been trying this for too long, baby. You want to ride this thing? We're going to ride it all the way out. And that's, I think, that we're very much alike in that. And so, like I said, if you take nothing from this podcast, take nothing from this episode, take away that we love our kids and take away that we love our kids and we respect our children.
Absolutely.
And that we support them. And so when you're asking for parenting tips, the only tip we can give is want to be a parent. Like, don't begrudge your situation as a parent. Don't begrudge the fact that you became a parent at 18, at 25, at 42.
And don't take parent literally, because we are all humans.
Right.
You're raising a human. You are a human. You all do not think alike.
Right. And that's the thing. You have to be open. If you're talking to a colleague and they have a different take on something, you're going to, generally, if you're reasonable, you're going to be open to hearing
Absolutely.
that take. Your child deserves that. Yes, he's 5. Yes, he's 15. Yes, he's 25. But your child deserves the same respect you would give someone of your age.
Yes.
And so, like I said, if you take nothing from this, love being a parent, love people. And because if you love people, you would inevitably love your children, because a lot of times people separate people, but that's my kid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, whole person.
Yeah.
Whole person being affected by the way that you're parenting.
Absolutely.
And you're going to wonder why people, and it's so funny because people say, well, at a certain age, they should just know better. No. Not if they weren't taught better.
Not if they weren't taught better.
They're not just going to randomly just grab onto it because, I turned 23. Light bulb went off. If you have not instilled things in them, they're going to be 23 acting like they've never learned. And then you're going to be looking
very
like
naive.
Look, you're too old for that. Well, you're too old to not have taught me.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you're too old to not have instilled these values in me, instill these morals or whatever. And so, but parents should, y'all ain't... Parent your children, love your children, and then you'll be able to see them be successful adults who come back to you and say, Mom, when you parented me, what were you thinking?
I love it.
All right, y'all. We sure appreciate y'all. Episode 1 of season 2.
We did it.
Look, next episode. We're going to talk about, mistakes. This ain't no parenting podcast.
It's not.
It's a fake parenting podcast.
We really just talking at this point.
But I do, Lisa, I do want to, in the next episode, just be able to explore mistakes in parenting.
Because there are mistakes.
We've 2 episodes patted ourselves on the back about, how great parents we are. But we made some mistakes. And I do want to be able to explore that on this fake parenting podcast.
Absolutely. I think that will be great. I'm excited and I cannot wait.
Me either.
Yes.
All right, y'all. I am Crystal.
And I'm Alisa.
And we are That's Right. Your favorite sister podcast. See y'all later.
Peace.